Welcome everybody to the Rally Cry podcast. My name is Angel.
And my name is Tyler.
And you guys are here because you want to redirect your life, learn, heal, grow, the whole process to the journey of working on a better self. Today is an awesome day, very special episode, and you're going to find out why at the end of this episode. So whatever platform you guys are on, whatever podcast platform, go follow us on there. Make sure that you give us a review. You guys don't understand how much that helps us because it lets us know that we're trying to do better for the community, because that's really what it's all about, so that we can grow together, really learn these perspectives and hear your guys' perspective. So yeah, just leave us a review. You can also follow us on Instagram at therallycry.podcast, where you can watch all our clips and all the good stuff. So Tyler, today's episode, it's going to be great.
Please, oh please. It's all about togetherness, bring closeship into proximity together. Everybody, if it's not family, if it's not people that you see around the block when you're going to the store, it's the people that you see at school, people that you can see at the movies, at the mall, the library, I would hope. It's your friends. And sometimes friends, we all live in different places. It could be far. It could be an hour away. It could be 15 minutes away. Or it could be a day away. On layaway. So, you know what I'm saying? Thank you. So we're going to talk about sustaining long-term friendships. How does a friendship last? How do we sustain a friendship? Because once we get to know each other, we should just know each other. And is that all? Is that it after that?
Yeah, it's definitely not in the matter of thinking that when you get to know someone for however long that takes, it's really just knowing that they're a growing person, and we live in a universe where it's forever expanding. So that means that, in a way, we're never really satisfied. However, we become satisfied when we know that there's still so much more growing to do. Because once we reach a stagnant point, which is not actually realistic, we feel as we want more. You get a nice house and you want furniture. After furniture, you want a flat screen TV. And then you just keep upgrading after that. And then you get a bigger house, right? It's the matter of just expanding your network. And in the sense of having one friend, two friends, three friends, however that is, it's just a matter of having a very qualified relationship, because it's about quality. So it needs to be qualifying to what your values are and what beliefs that you have. And sometimes we could be different, but us being different is what makes us learn more because of the perspectives, cultures, and etc.
Yeah, and I definitely agree with that, because with the values that come within a friendship, they quantify over time because of how much stronger those values become, especially as we get older. Like, for example, me and Angel have known each other for 13 years.
Love you, bro.
Yeah, you got to think about the things that we trusted each other when we were 16, 17, compared to the things that we could trust each other now. We're 24, about to be 25.
It's crazy.
So imagine the kind of things we could trust each other for and that we have to trust each other for. And without those values, there will be a lot of stagnatism. Or stagnance, right?
You can say that.
Correct us. Comment, please. But if there's a lot of stagnant, it's because there's not enough boundaries. And with the boundaries that could help those situations, they can't. And the only reason why they can't is because the complacency and wanting things to be predictable. And when things are predictable, that's when we think, okay, I know this person so well, I can just do this. Like, let's say, I know that they like this for breakfast, so I know if I keep doing this, they could probably overlook this argument that we had the other day. And I don't really have to apologize for that. So let me just milk them. Let me sugarcoat them with something that's going to make them forget that why they should be mad at me, or why I disappointed them, because maybe I didn't live up to those expectations.
Right. I think that when we expect too much, it kind of just makes it detrimental to us. So that's actually foreshadowing what we have. And there's three of them that we're going to try to talk about. And before I get to the first one, I just want to give us a study that was from an Australian named Bronnie. What was her name? Her name was Bronnie.
Bronnie James, like LeBron James' son?
You know what's funny? I thought it was that, but it's not. I'm trying to really find her name here. Well, it was an Australian study, and she found that having strong social networks can increase the lifespan. Yes. So it's like, if you think about it, people that are depressed and they're not living life in fulfillment, it does a lot to the body. Because it's like, having your self affirmations really can make you sick. Like, if you keep saying yourself, like, I'm sick, I'm sick, I'm sick. I remember when I was younger, there was one time I wasn't feeling good, and I just kept telling myself, I feel good, I feel good, I feel good. And I just wanted to have, like, a good day. And I kept telling myself that. And then after a while, it kind of just woke me up. Like, oh, I actually feel better.
Right.
Sometimes we put a placebo effect in our own brain. So it's just the fact that when we have a strong friendship, a relationship, it really impacts our well-being, mentally and physically.
And I love how Angel brings that up, because it just goes to show how much more we're connected with nature. Because when we're depressed and we isolate ourselves and be in positions where we're just in our room in the dark, not getting any sunlight, not engaging with people, probably mindlessly scrolling on social media, we're detaching our roots when we should be connecting our network together. So when we're hanging out with people, we're going to the library, we're going out for walks. So let's say we're going out to the beach. Now we're around everybody else. Everybody has their own energy. Imagine being around a big surrounding like a beach, and everybody just there to have fun. Whether it's a family building a sandcastle, a couple people going out for drinks, a couple people running all over the place playing football, people running in the water, chasing each other with water guns. Like, you don't know, but that could be so peaceful and relieving, and you could just be that one person reading your book at the beach. But all that engagement around you is connecting with people, and you feel relieved after. You may feel tired because being out in the sun does that to you. But it does good compared to, like, okay, you know what? I'll just, I'll lay here. I think I could read a book or something. I don't know, but I just feel like laying here. Like, imagine doing that in a room by yourself, and now, like, who's going to pick you up when you're not even picking yourself up? You're dragging yourself at this point.
Yep. That makes so much sense, and it's just coming down to the foundation of it. Like, being around, your friends, or let's say if you're trying to have or make friends, you got to start in an environment that is in such kind of energy. I know a lot of times we can say that, we go out in the nightlife, but in the nightlife is not really where you make valuable relationships.
It's short-term things. Like, you want quick things fast, and that's why it's called the fast nightlife. Yeah, like, things are by fast. They're expensive, but why are they expensive? Because they're fast. They're going to give it to you right then and there, like fast food. See what I did there?
So just shout outs to what's her name? Bronnie Ware was the person that had that studies of finding that having so good social networks is what increases the lifespan. So we're gonna get to the first one, and these are just the 3 values that you want to have for yourself and value on what you should have in others. And not a rule, a value, something that you should value for yourself and others is being honest. Being honest, we can definitely say, is something that we should practice every day. Like, it's a skill to be honest. Just the same way it's a skill to be a liar, it's a skill to be honest.
A skill to be honest. It's funny because it sounds like you're saying to be honest, but then it's like a skill to be honest.
Yeah.
So I like that.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, I actually wasn't looking at it like that, but that is actually
like
funny.
my post for to be honest.
Right? Yo, were they really honest at that time? I don't know. I think it was just
like the status for inbox, to be honest. That's when they're being honest.
Yeah. If anything, be like, yeah, I like you.
Yeah, but it's in the DM. I don't want to be public.
Yeah. So with the reason why I say it's a skill is because it's something that can be improved. It's not a trait. It's a habit that you could get of, but it's a skill first before it becomes a habit, because you got to keep practicing it. Sometimes we're not always honest. So there's like studies that show that a stranger would tell you the truth more than your closest friend. Which is crazy. It is because a lot of times we lie to protect one another. But sometimes, what are you really protecting? Are you protecting yourself or really the person?
And the thing is, it's because of how in certain moments, because we've seen this person vulnerable and seen how vulnerable they can be, whether it's minor or major, because we've seen them vulnerable, we don't want to attack that. We don't want to attack the identity that we care for, that we would like to protect, because they are our friends. And the things that we know that they went through, we know what could attack them, especially the things that not everybody else is going to know. So even calling out something small like, oh, yo, you got a booger right here. No, I'm playing. So you see what I mean? Like, I could just tell him, and it's something small like that. And let's say he's having a bad day, and then it's like, oh damn, like I wonder how many people saw me with that. Now I'm embarrassed because like how many conversations did I go through with a booger in my nose just hanging out like that? And sometimes it may be embarrassing. However, it's like if that's really your friend, you let them know because you wouldn't want them caught slacking, and you wouldn't want somebody else who's a stranger to call it out for them, even though it's bittersweet with that statement. Strangers are more honest because, like, what do they have to lose? They don't have anything to lose. They don't have any entitlement towards you. They don't owe you anything. They're doing you the favor, like, hey, like, this is it right here, and this is my blunt, honest truth. So I think there's a duality between retaining that enigma that was there in the beginning before you got to know somebody. And even though you guys know each other, you have to remember that we don't know each other. We're still learning about each other. We're going to be continuously learning about each other every day. So it's safe to say I know of Angel enough. Mm-hmm. I don't know him. I know of enough.
Right.
And I'm curious, and I'm excited to see more of what I can see tomorrow, the next hour. Hey, maybe even the next 5 seconds. All right, continue.
And now going into 5 seconds later, I'm talking.
Yeah.
It's just the fact that, remember, people really value honesty. However, a lot of people are not even honest. Mm-hmm. We honestly, right, don't know how to express it sometimes because we get scared and we don't know how to express ourselves. And it was just like how I remember we were talking earlier how what happens is when you lack vocabulary, it's harder to articulate yourself in a way to express yourself. Mm-hmm. And that's with being honest with yourself, honestly. I love doing that. It's like, it's ambiguous.
A double entendre.
Yeah. So we think, okay, well, how can I be honest? Is it just me being straightforward? Well, yeah. However, you also want to make sure that you're really understanding what you're telling the other person, and you don't want to seem as if you're coming off as a parent, right? Mm-hmm. You don't want to feel like you're doing too much, and we'll get more into what I mean by that. And being vulnerable is a good way of having a deeper connection with that other person, right? Mm-hmm. And I know a lot of these things can really transfer into an intimate relationship. You know, there's differences between the two, but it's just the same when it comes to an actual strong friendship. Like, me and Tyler, like he's mentioned, we've known each other for 13 years. However, it's just a matter of, like, not really expecting from one another. Like, I never really expected to talk to Tyler every day, and it was to a point where we wouldn't even talk to each other for, like, months. And then when we talked to each other again, it was like we never missed anything. And we'd be talking for the whole time, and it's like, damn, there's still so much to talk about. And within this whole year, especially us starting this podcast, like, we've had the opportunity to really understand each other more. Like, I know a lot more about Tyler now than a couple years back, regardless of how consistent it was within, like, just every 3 months or so. Because now we see each other, like, at least every weekend, and we still communicate through our phones and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So it's really just not having that expectation along with it. And when you're vulnerable, going back to it, it's just a matter of being honest with how you feel. Mm. If I can come to you about how I feel, if something makes me discomfort, it makes you understand me more about what could trigger me. Mm-hmm. And my triggers are more based on my weaknesses. So I'm letting you know, hey, look, I don't like this, and this really irritates me. It could get me really annoyed. However it is, I want to express it. So it's just a matter of really having effective communication, and depending on what it is, you don't really want to do over the phone. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? A lot of times if something bothered me and Tyler, I try to do it more in person. I'm like, I'm going to see him later this Saturday. I'll just wait till then. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, it's bothering me, and it's something that I can appreciate more if it's in person, rather than being so into my emotions where I have to jump the gun and call him or text him, not knowing what he could be doing, knowing that me and Tyler have a very busy schedule. So it's like, it's a lot of consideration in there. So that's almost being honest with yourself, because you're starting to be aware of the things that is likely, right? I have a different lifestyle, so does Tyler. So it's just a matter of really being honest with how you feel, but also being considerate. Because regardless of how I may be feeling, and I'm being vulnerable and anything like that, I gotta be very insightful for how something may come if I do it a certain way, and that's where respect comes in as well.
Put some respect on it. I like that. I really do like that, and it's interesting how Angel brings up being vulnerable, because a lot of times when we think about the vulnerability that we have with ourselves and with other people, you would think we would treat each other the same. However, we confuse that because of the idea of possessiveness, or because that's our friend. And when we're being honest, we pick when to be honest, because we're like, oh, okay, so like how Angel brought up before a couple episodes a while back, they tell us the truth, but they're not telling us the full truth.
Mm-hmm.
And being able to utilize that makes it confusing, because now all this time we think that, that friend is telling us the truth. And let's say we find out that they weren't, and like they missed this information out, and let's say I catch them, ironically, in that position of, oh, you didn't mention this. Now here I am questioning everything that you've told me before, and now this whole bridge of trust starts crumbling little by little, just off of those fabricated details that you made because you didn't tell the full truth. So I think being vulnerable is something that we could treat with a lot more scarcity, because vulnerability is sacred. This is somebody's insecurities. This is somebody's entire identity. Their soul, like what makes them ick. What makes this person who they are. And like, if I know, let's say Angel doesn't like waiting, right? But here I am mistreating that, and I'm making him wait, or without even communicating with him. And I'm not doing that extra reach because I know that we're making plans, right? And let's say he's bringing me somewhere, or let's say it's vice versa, and I say I'm going to be on my way. I tell him 5-10 minutes, and I'm not even 5-10 minutes away. Now he is ready, and he could have been doing something else, and he was vulnerable enough to let me know, so that way he could just be on schedule. There's always going to be some kind of vulnerability that goes along with our actions, and I think that we take some things for granted. Our experiences, we get so used to them, we get so complacent. And with that predictability, again, we lackluster. We get so caught up and be like, I don't need to. Once something becomes easy, we start treating it less and less important as we used to when we didn't know how to do it.
Yes, I love that. It's just a matter of, that's why we value things that are challenging for us. Mm-hmm. I love a quote that I heard, and it was saying, when things go from being challenging to a stress, that's when it's time to let it go. Mm-hmm. And that's so honest, right? Because everything's going to be hard, but is it really stressful? Is it really hurting you? There's a difference. Like, growth is uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. So it's like squeezing through a tunnel that's like about your size, and you're just like, I'm just trying to get through, and so that you can blossom into something that is a lot more beautiful. Just like the reference of a butterfly, like they're in this very tight, like, what's it called? Like a cocoon, right?
Or a chrysalis.
A chrysalis, right? And they're so like tight in there, and it's like almost like you're claustrophobic.
Okay, yeah, claustrophobic, and you're in a tight space, like being stuck in an elevator.
And then out you go, like, oh my God, I got wings now. Let me fly. I'm free. I could go wherever I want, and I know the direction that I'm going, and I'm gonna live life fulfillful. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I just love that. Being honest and vulnerable is definitely important, and that's with yourself and how you are with the other people. When you have that perspective, of that other person, when they're able to be vulnerable, it literally rewards you with more awareness of the people that you're with. Mm-hmm. So then that goes into number 2, the second valuable thing to sustaining a long friendship is repairing misattunements. Mm-hmm. And as I was reading, I was like, okay, misattunements, you might be listening and be like, what's a misattunement? So a misattunement is just a lack of rapport, an effort to make communication and expression are not responded to in a way that allows the other person to be understood. And it's just not having that empathetic. You're having empathetic failure, right? Because you're not really articulating yourself in a way where the other person feels understood, right? So it's like, for the example, if Tyler tells me something that makes him uncomfortable, if I just said, oh, okay, how's that going to be for you? You're going to be like,
I'm going to walk out. All right, I wasted my time, clearly.
Yeah, clearly, right? You're only going to see for how it is. However, if I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I can definitely see how that bothers you. And if it was me, I think that would definitely interrupt the way that I'm feeling like I can have a good day. And then it can kind of make me feel some type of way, bars. And I would do my very best to not do that, because I don't want to have anything that makes you uncomfortable.
Yeah, and I think that's a good way to at least start the conversation, showing that you're trying to empathize with them, because we're not looking for someone to always give us an answer or solve the thing that's making us uncomfortable. I think that at times, not everybody can pick up questions right away and figure out, okay, like, you know, asking that right question just so we can get more into deeper of the issue. And because of that, even being able to recite most of that, as generic as it sounds, and I think a lot of times, especially with social media, we look for this exaggerated, blown out, proportioned example of like, oh, I want somebody to understand me so well that they actively do this. They're already like making me dinner while they're telling me how I'm the greatest person, and they bought me flowers, and they got my favorite movie playing. Like, doing all these actions just to let them know that we're there. No. Being able to empathize, you're verbally able to understand and recite and also paraphrase things that you're able to understand and how you could relate to it. And a lot of times you don't have to relate to it. It's the idea of like, what can you understand from it? And comprehension is difficult to give off of, because with feedback, it's having to process that in real life time. And there could be pressure with having to respond, but there's no rush. And if you were to say like, hey, I could need a moment, like, could you let me think on that? Because I hear what you're saying. I just want to make sure that I understand it. You know, and there's nothing wrong with asking. I think, especially with how intimate and personal it is to be on a one-on-one and having an uncomfortable conversation almost like that, it does strike fear and make somebody, if anything, give into one of the 3 Fs and either flight or freeze instead of fighting, or they could be fighting it because now they're not thinking enough, at least on the response. So I definitely think that's an important thing for sure.
Yeah, it's a lot of times when we want someone to understand us, it's not that we want them to understand us. It's more we want them to feel us. Like, this is the pain that I feel. I want you to feel the same exact pain that I feel. And that's how I would know you understand me. Like, there's a difference between the two. So we shouldn't really get misconfused with it. Confused. So with that being said, is almost going into the fact of like apologizing as well. Because you're repairing the fact that you had a lack of empathy. And so therefore, when you apologize, you have to say what you mean and mean what you say.
Said it, then I meant it. If I meant it, then I said it. Oh my God. And that's so true, because a lot of times, honestly, apologizing, it's so instinctive because we feel bad, and that comes from how our parents raised us. Because like immediately, like when we already know some type of form of a punishment is gonna happen, we think that we just immediately got to just cower and be like, all right, I give up. I'm waving the white flag. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do this.
Yeah, and we definitely talked a little bit about how our parents affect us with our behaviors and our attachment style in our last episode. So if you guys didn't watch that, definitely check that out. It's the matter of having a friendship. You want to accept your friend for who they are, who they're becoming, and not for who you want them to be.
Or who they used to be, because it's the attachment to like who you guys were when you first met. Yes. And that it's like that honeymoon phase, that first love, like, oh, like we just met and we're connecting so much, like all these neurons that are just firing off in our brains while we're talking, and like we're just getting connecting right there in that moment. Like, it's like sparks are flying. It's like fireworks. You know, this is the epitome of the creation, and when there's creation, there's life, and it's like a big bang. And after that, it starts settling and it gets weaker. It's still strong. Now it's just what other big bangs can you find to like pop off together.
Right. And that's the matter of being consistent. And consistent is always being looked in many levels. It doesn't have to be the same level all the time. There's days where it can be a little bit more down than others, and that's what we call up and downs. So going back to apologizing, when I said you say what you mean and mean what you say, a lot of times we can say sorry or we can apologize to our friend. However, we just like say sorry sometimes. Like there's some people that don't know how to really apologize, and that's okay. Like it's a hard thing to do because we know we could be in the wrong if we're the one that is apologizing, and we need to know how to communicate on why we're being sorry. And it's just a matter of like, what do you mean by it? Like after you say sorry. So is rephrasing or paraphrasing to what the other person was experiencing and then saying, this is why I can see this hurt you, and apologizing how and why, right? So it really depends on the circumstances, and with there being two different kind of people, you just know how to talk to this person. So there's not much of a clear example of how to apologize, more so saying that I would say I apologize for making you uncomfortable, and that this is something that you don't value, and if you don't value it, I don't value it. Because I think the whole point of understanding you is so that I know what direction you're looking at. And if you're looking in this direction, I need to try to understand that. I might not agree to it, but I can respect it. And that's the matter of even in an intimate relationship with a significant other. But in a friendship, it just works the same way. We have to have some form of understanding with each other and some closure to know that, yo, this is just what it is. And we just got to understand that and not just expect the way it should be, you know? I think things being different is what brings us closer together. Mind you, with all these cultures and all these things, we ourselves don't stay within our culture. We like diving into other cultures because of the way they carry themselves. So it's almost the same thing when you're in a friendship or a relationship.
Yeah, and that is going to go into number 3, because when we can alter our expectations, we can't expect everything to be the same. And if things stay the same, it gets dull, it gets boring, and it's exhilarating when we can predict any time that we can. When it's like it's like the toxic desire to want control over everything. So being able to have control over a situation, how things turn out, like having control of how a basketball game is going to turn out, having control over how your day at school is going to go, or even at work, because a lot of times we go to work and we never know what's going to happen. And when it comes to predicting, I think that we should be okay. It's a natural, common thing to do. Don't obsess over it. And that's why when we don't make assumptions, that leads to less disappointment. Because we only become disappointed because we set these expectations so high, we pedestalize them so high, it doesn't make any sense. And I think that it would be better if we were to understand the whole realm of what it takes to predict, because with expectations on others in relationships, on from this website I believe healthline.com, Psychology Today, one may become complacent with wanting things to stay the same and never change. A safety net inspired by control and predictability because we think we know them. And as I said earlier, I don't know Angel. I know of Angel enough. And when I can retain that identity of this little foundation that I have of Angel, everything else I can make connections with. So now I have a groundwork of who I know to be Angel. So I know that Angel likes playing basketball. I know that Angel does taekwondo. I know he watches some anime. I know that he likes reading books. And we do have similar music interests. So now if there's anything else that he gets into, like how not that long ago he said he wants to do hiking. Oh, shoot, I like to do hiking too. So I didn't expect him to say that he wanted to do hiking, but because with hiking, it includes going for a walk. Angel likes going for walks. It includes possibly listening to music because you're out going for a walk by yourself, or maybe even listening to nature. That can still be perceived as music. And like how it is right now, it's raining. That's still music. That's nature's sound, nature's way to communicate through life. And I think that when we become so obsessed with expectations, it's because we're trying to protect something. I think we're trying to protect something from ourselves because we're afraid of something. We're afraid of something changing and maybe possibly somebody outgrowing us. We don't know what somebody's experience could be prior to this friendship. We don't know what somebody's exact idea of what a friendship is, because a lot of things come to an end. So what if they're just afraid because now that this friendship started, now they're already thinking about, like, how's this friendship going to end? I don't want to lose them.
Yeah, absolutely. I think if you're in a relationship, in a friendship, and I would say when the other person is growing, I wouldn't say outgrow. However, that's how people look at it, though. When they grow, you grow. When you grow, they grow. That's how it's supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
So it's unfortunate if one may feel that one is being outgrown. And the thing is, we're going to have these thoughts. Like, I don't want anyone to think that when they have certain thoughts, like, oh, I shouldn't be thinking this, or why do I feel jealous, right? It's just a matter of, like, that's a normal thing to feel. That's a normal thought. However, to keep polarizing on it is something that is going to be detrimental to you. So when you're a person that experiences jealousy, like, oh, dang, well, damn, that they're getting this and I haven't got anything yet, it's kind of making me a little jelly. It's the matter of, like, you choose love with it rather than envy.
Yeah.
So you can have a jealous thought and still choose to support them. So I don't want anyone to think that when you're in a relationship, if you're in a friendship, you think that you having a jealous thought or anything that might sound almost selfish is wrong of you. Oh, there's something wrong with me. I shouldn't be even thinking this. No, you're gonna think it. However, the thoughts that you have is what you choose to allow. So I have a thought, and it's either I push it to the side or I put it into the center of my attention. Because we have something in our brain, in our brain, for short, it's called the RES, the rest, and it puts our thought on a spotlight. And when we have that spotlight, we keep thinking about it, and then we add more to that spotlight, like it's on the show, and then it's presenting itself in front of the audience. And your audience is how you present yourself outward, right? So once you have that spotlight thought, you keep doing it. So you're gonna have these thoughts. However, you don't want to vocalize it. You don't want to express it way too much, and you want to have some form of discipline to choose love for the person that you care for.
Love over lust, and lust over love.
Yeah.
I mean,
especially if you're talking about relationship.
Yeah, especially romantic relationships. And as Angel brings that up, the main thing that brings out the uniqueness of a friendship is that we cannot expect a friend to feel and or express the exact way we would. We have to acknowledge who they are as a person. And as Angel was bringing that up, when somebody's expressing themselves, and a lot of times they could even be thinking out loud, and maybe they just need somebody there. Maybe just need somebody there to listen. And there's times that you could comment. Don't help them fix it, though. Like, they're thinking out loud, and they could be expressing it, and they just may need your feedback as far as what empathizing could be. And as Angel kept it so concise and clear, it was like, I know that I wouldn't like that. So you expressing that, I know you don't like that, and I could only imagine how that I could only imagine how that's unraveling now. The more that you think about it, so letting someone figure that out for themselves is okay. And if it is someone that's the type that does seek out advice and does need a friend to help them figure something out because they have so many thoughts that they can't organize, that's still okay. It is natural. We can't expect somebody to be perfect, and eventually, when obviously as we get older, there's going to be times where our individuality is so strong that we don't need to do that. And I also think it would be you're not being insightful enough or being mindful if you begin to complain that they can't figure something out for themselves. Now, it is a concern. I think that there's a way to express that you would like for them to try to start figuring things out on their own, because maybe they start developing a dependency for always needing you to be there to figure something out. Yep. And that's not healthy. However, once again, this goes into having boundaries. Having those boundaries sets those limitations so that way they know that you're their friend and that you will be there. However, they won't try to use you as the first option or think that's the first solution. They have to figure out the solution for themselves. And being able to sustain relationships where there is boundaries and both identities can talk to each other without submerging each other's identities together, because we don't want to get absorbed into people's mess. And it could be a mess, a problem, a situation, or it could be a simple interaction that happened in their day. We don't want to emerge into that, because now here we're thinking like, I remember how that happened to me. Yeah, you shouldn't do this because like last time somebody said that to me, I didn't like it. So I'm just saying you're gonna end up not liking it like me. Why am I trying to control your experience? You know, certain feedback is so critical to conversations that we could be influencing this person to do something, especially when they are vulnerable. When they're vulnerable, they're seeking answers. When they're in pain, we're looking for a purpose, because now it's like I'm in pain. Now I need to find something to reconstruct me because I'm broken and torn into pieces.
Absolutely. I love this episode because, you know, it's something that we had to experience for ourselves. And since we were fortunate to understand each other and know that, you know, there's a process of things, and, you know, when there's a form of discomfort, we've learned enough where we're able to communicate that very effectively. I know when we were younger, it probably wouldn't have been as possible to do so. So it's like things worked in a way for us where when we were working on ourselves more, it brought us closer. And back then it was more still spontaneous to hang out and still respect one another and know that we both have the same values. However, it's still the matter of still figuring ourselves out. And till this day, that's still a thing. And yeah, I just appreciate Tyler and things that we've grown together. And the matter of making the episode is really hoping you guys can actually find someone that really respects you, see your values. They don't have to exactly value what you value, but they can respect it. And when your goal is focused on something, they kind of push you forward to that goal. Like Tyler, knowing that I do Taekwondo, he'd be sending me Taekwondo videos, and it puts a perspective for me. And sometimes, even if he's not in Taekwondo, he could be in something else where he gives me a perspective, and I just keep learning from what he is or who he is more so, and what I can grab from that to help myself grow. And that is kind of the beauty of having someone as a friend that respects you, and that's what makes them at their best. And I really hope you guys got something from this episode, and know that whoever is your friend, really reevaluate your friends, because those are the ones that represent who you are. And for the people that don't know your friends like that, they know who your friends are, and they be like, oh, that's Angel's friend, or oh, that's Tyler's friend. So we just need to understand who represents us and how they talk to us behind our backs, because a lot of times we got to shout out to the people that really say the bad stuff to your face, you know, because those are the person that can be honest with you and let you know, hey, you messing up right now and you got to fix yourself, so that, you know, you become this person that is more deserved in this life, right? Yeah. Because it's the matter of knowing that, hey, you shouldn't be going out here looking crazy with your behavior or just the way you look. Like when Tyler was mentioning about, oh, you have a booger in your nose, bro. Before we go out, you need to look good. You know what I mean? It's just one of those things. Some people don't like hearing it, but it's like checking them. And if it's not checking, then it's confronting. However you want to say it. Yeah, and the thing is, like, I wouldn't even say checking, because checking in a way is like you got to check them like you're a parent, and it's as you said, like you don't want to parent them, and with parents they check us right away. It's like, oh, what's good with these grades? What's good with these grades? Huh? Like, yo, why am I here? How you go to school Monday through Friday, and you come home with all Fs? How you doing that? Yeah, and you know what I mean. So like when it comes to our friends, the thing is, I'd say confront more than because if anything, like I have to confront you about this. I'm approaching you from the front, not from the back. I'm approaching you with this because it's been brought to my attention. I've been noticing this. I've seen a pattern. I don't like what I'm seeing, and I care about you, and I want you to know I'm bringing this to your attention. And as Angel was bringing that up, and how I even clarified that more, as we always do together, making sure that we both understand each other. Emphasizing the importance of open communication and understanding each other's perspective. Yes. Open communication, because right now, whether I understood Angel or not in that moment, and if I had messed up, Angel was going to be honest enough to tell me that wasn't my perspective. This is what it is. Do you understand it this way better? And I could say what I thought of that afterwards. So now we're engaging back and forth. And hey, there's sometimes where it can be heated debates. Right now, you see the genesis of how well me and Angel understand each other.
we have had to bump heads in order to get this type of tranquility together.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, hey, think about it like this. Imagine me and Angel playing basketball. Imagine how many times we had to bump heads, especially when we didn't know how to play with each other yet. And we were just trying to figure things out. And then getting into the podcast. Now trying to figure out, since last year, trying to figure out, okay, what's our style of work ethic? What do we specialize at? What are we good at? And what benefits us? What are our schedules like? Like, we're mixing so many things together. We have to work through these things, as frustrating as some things may be.
Yep.
'Cause we're both two different people, both have two different lives, two different jobs, two different intentions, two different purposes, two different everything. So because of that, we're going to put both of our minds and both of our hearts together to see how we can reason out with both of our words. So I think that this is something that a lot of friends could use, if you're watching, to strengthen their friendship and understand each other better. I think that social media is another strong indicator of not being able to understand each other, because misreading messages, let's say text messages or even social media, because now everybody has to walk around with if the shoe fits. You know what I mean? So, like, if you see a post and your friend did that and it's kind of similar, you can make that connection with yourself. It could be a little bit of you being guilty, and at the same time, there are people that would probably go to social media to express something that they don't like because they don't have the decency or the courage to tell you in person.
Facts. Facts. Going crazy. Yeah, so what you appreciates, and that's why we appreciate you guys for listening. And, you know, it's a process. You got to start somewhere, and the consistency is where you learn from a lot. So just be consistent, make communication, work on yourself, and it'll be a nice breeze, some thunderstorms, but you'll get through it because there's always a sun behind it. Mm-hmm. So we are excited, more so because Tyler, why? What we got to tell him? We told him this episode is special. It's more special because
Tyler's leaving, guys. Tyler's leaving on a business trip. So things will be changing.
Yes.
The Rally Cry podcast will live on. Viva la revolution.
Liberation.
La revolution. Rally Cry will still continue. We'll be doing things virtually from now on. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, I'm leaving. Yes, I will be.
Unfortunate? What? No.
It's unfortunate that I'm leaving only because this connection right here, guys. You're not gonna find anything else like this. And for those who watch us on YouTube, you can see the connection here, laughing, the animations, everything like that. And even when you're hearing it, I'm pretty sure you still hear the cadence that be rocking y'all kicks off. So we're gonna do things differently. Fortunately, it'll be another way for us to expand and another way for us to be able to connect with you guys. Because maybe the virtual, being able to see seeing two different worlds. You see this setup. What about the next setup? What about the future setup you're going to see? You don't know about that. So what's up with that? We're going to find out.
Yeah, so that's what makes it special. So Tyler's getting ready soon. He leaves 2 days from now, 1 day from now.
Yeah,
tomorrow.
About a day.
Yeah.
Well, by the time you're going to see this.
He's already on his way. So yeah, guys, we hope you enjoyed this episode. I sure did, and understanding a little bit more and know our experiences, because of course we have a great friendship, which I appreciate. And yeah, guys, whatever podcast platform you guys are on, make sure you guys leave a like, give us a review. Do you have friends that you value, and how is the relationship between the two? And how long has it been? Just let us know, because it's definitely a thing to be grateful for. And you don't find a lot like it, I would say. It's something that is rare. So yeah, until next time, you guys be easy.
It's been an honorable duty. Be breezy.
Peace.